I first came across the name of Norma Fisher in the early 1960s when I was a music producer for BBC Radio, and she was on the cusp of a major career in England. In those days, it was vital for a young pianist to pass a BBC audition and get BBC engagements. It was one of the few ways for an aspiring pianist to receive national coverage. Commercial radio and television were just around the corner, but not yet available. The modern internet, which makes it possible to acquire a following of millions in a matter of days, was unheard of. The BBC fostered some remarkable talents in those faraway times. I'm thinking of John Ogden, David Wilde, David Parkhouse, Dennis Matthews, Valerie Tryon, and of course, Norma Fisher. I worked with all of them at one time or another. So when I decided to produce a comprehensive series of recitals of piano music by Franz Liszt, I had some of the best pianists on my doorstep. And this roster of names was enlarged by the inclusion of Louis Kentner, Shure Tchaikovsky, and Joseph Weingarten, all of whom lived in London and all of whom took part in my Liszt series. However, I recall running into a problem at the early planning stage. I wanted to include some Liszt arrangements of pieces by Bach, Schubert, and Saint-Saëns, but nobody wanted to take them on. So I turned to Norma Fisher, and she immediately said, yes. It was a risk on my part because she was not known as a Lisztian, and I'd never produced her before. But it was one of my better decisions. Her interpretations were magnificent. I'm glad that I held on to the tapes, and delighted that they've been rescued by Sonetto Classics. There's an important point to add. These performances ought not to be confused with commonplace commercial recordings for which 2 or 3 days are set aside to capture a mere couple of pieces, with endless editing time tacked on at the end. In those days, the BBC had a strict formula meant to save time and money. Studio time was allotted at the ratio of 1.5 times the length of the programme. So, for a recital lasting 1 hour, the producer was allowed just 90 minutes to record it. The pressure was great. Discipline was required. The pianist had to be prepared. I mention this for a reason. Some of the tracks on Norma's BBC recordings are single takes with hardly any editing. The result is spontaneous music making of a high order. Interpretations captured on the wing, so to say, which one generally hears only in the concert hall. If I've any regrets about those halcyon years at the BBC, it's that I didn't engage Norma more often. Dear Norma, I feel privileged to be a part of the rebirth of these early recordings, and I wish you and your youthful performances all success, both now and in the future.